Okay. Following right along, we have teammate Clint Boyer. He drives the number 33 Cheerios Hamburger Helper Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. He comes in here 12th in points. Clint, you've got, I think, about a 34-point margin over 13th place. Obviously, at a road course, a lot of things can happen. Your thoughts about running here this weekend?
Yeah, last weekend was a bad weekend for us. Should have been a good weekend, but again, just looking back at our season, we've had fast race cars and we've had things completely out of our control take us out of a good finish. And when Jimmy and the 2-car got together, it knocked both sides of my car off, and we struggled to get a decent finish. We were lucky to get back to 15th. I thought when we were sitting 28th, Mark was sitting 4th. It started raining outside. I thought our day was over, and it was going to be a catastrophic day, but we were able to bounce back a little bit and regain some of that back. But going into Watkins Glen, anything can happen here. You got to be able to take care of your equipment, use your team, and get through this weekend. Especially growing up in Kansas racing dirt tracks, the only turning right we did was slinging dirt. It's a difficult track for me, but I think if we can get through this, get us a top 10 here, I think it'll go a long ways towards these rest of the races.
Okay, question. And we'll start here with Mike, then we'll go to Dave.
Mike Muller, MikeMuller.net. On a course like this, I'm remembering Sonoma. I mean, you guys were crazy. Everybody was crazy out there. And of course, you guys have been crazy at a lot of tracks. Can you drive defensively? Well, not you, of course. I mean, but can anybody drive defensively on a track like this, or do you just have to go out there and if you get knocked off the track, you get knocked off the track, and if somebody does something to you, I mean,
hey, at the end of the day, if you get knocked off the racetrack, sometimes you don't have any blame in it, but a lot of times you can look at yourself and say, probably should have let that one go. You got to be smart about your surroundings. A little bit of defense goes a long ways on a road course. Like I said, if you're holding somebody up for 4 or 5 laps and you get wrecked, are you going to blame that guy for wrecking you, or are you going to blame yourself for not getting the hell out of the way? I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
Go ahead, Rodman. Get Rodman a mic.
Yeah, Clint, Dave Rodman with NASCAR.com. This is going to be the canned question of the day. Atlanta's announced it's losing a race next year. If Kentucky's the replacement, what's your thought personally on racing in Atlanta just once rather than twice, if that's the replacement, going there, and an overview of just what appears to be a big set of schedule changes coming for 2011?
I don't mind the schedule change. I think it's probably time. Some of the races make sense. Some of them don't, in my opinion. Losing Atlanta, though, is a disappointment to me. I think there's a couple other tracks that have 2 races that I would have my ruthers of if it was my pick of going once. But that's frustrating. But I think every time we go to Kentucky, Kyle and all of us that have run nationwide races there, it's always a packed house for a nationwide race. Can't imagine what it'd be like for a Cup race. I think that's a good, location to have a good race and have an awesome fan turnout, which is ultimately the task at hand. But I think it's going to be sad to lose Atlanta. I think that's one of every driver's favorite racetracks, and if we do lose it, it's going to be a bummer.
Next question. Right over here, Sean. Who's got the mic?
Sean Varga with the Leader. At a track like this, do you try to look at guys who have had proven success, like a Tony Stewart, kind of keep an eye on what they're doing to maybe help yourself out on the track?
You can, absolutely. When you a driver like myself, that I'm not going to lie, I struggle at this place. As a driver, this is completely different than anything I'm used to. But absolutely, it seems like as a stock car driver, you go to a place like New Hampshire, a lot of times the first lap on the track is your fastest lap on the track. When I come to a place like this, usually 3/4 of the way through the race is my fastest lap, on the racetrack. I get better, with every lap that I run on it, and certainly, getting behind a guy that's had success here and knows his way around the track, it helps. Doesn't matter where you're at. You go to the local, short track, the best guy to follow when you go out there in hot laps is the pack leader. Follow the guy that wins races and see what line he's running and try to learn from him as quick as you can, and that's where you find your speed.
Go ahead, Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Clint, coming to a place like this, are you kind of aware of what garage feuds are going on, that you kind of avoid that situation so you don't get caught up in their mess, because you're in a precarious position right now in the chase and you need every point? So you kind of try to avoid the nonsense?
But I mean, in the same token, I'm trying to beat Mark Martin out of 12th place right now. I mean, I got to get up on the wheel and make things happen and get a good finish. And if you're worried about somebody else's fiasco, getting tangled up in that, you're not worried about what you need to be doing, and that's finding speed and a good finish at the end of the day. In the position we're in, we're only 35 points ahead of him. We've got to be able to get every position possible, and I think if we get out of here with a top 10 finish, that's going to set us, up good to these last 4 races after this. Before the cutoff, we have some good racetracks for us. Bristol's one of my good ones. Richmond is another one of my best racetracks. So if we can get out of here, I'm pretty excited about the last 4. Yep. Thank you.
Question right behind you, Chuck.
Chuck Howard, NASCAR Media Group. Clint, excuse me, you just mentioned that Bristol is one of your best speedways. Some of the race fans, some of the media members have said the racing's not the way it used to be, but can you explain how you guys as drivers like the way that the races are taking place and the racing at Bristol now with the new surface?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not I think racing at Bristol isn't the way it used to be. I think it's a lot better. It's racing now. You don't go up on somebody and just beat them out of the way and crash them to get around them. There's different lines. You can run the outside. You can run the bottom. You can diamond the corner a lot better than you used to be able to. I mean, there's a lot more lines on the racetrack than there used to be. So it's not just locked down on the bottom and root the guy out of the way to get around him. Yes, you don't see as many situations, crashes, emotions, and things like that. But I think the racing, if you're a true race fan, I think the racing is way better than it used to be. You see a lot more side-by-side racing than you ever have. 3-wide every now and then.
Anybody else?
Thanks.
Clint, thank you very much. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.